those who are deserving of it. Maybe one reason why this is so is because we're scared that when we actually come to terms with how much we are indebted to others, we will feel bad, for we will realize that we are not as independent as we had hoped, and truly are reliant on people other than ourselves. As a result, we fear that our self-worth will decrease. However, this defense mechanism to preserve our self-esteem in fact jeopardizes our actual growth. In truth, expressing Hakaras HaTov enables us to merit tremendous siyata d'shmaya, divine assistance. In Parshas Hazinu, when Hashem is telling Moshe to ascend to Har Novo, to his final resting place, the pasuk uses an emphatic lashon describing that Hashem was going to take Moshe out in the middle of the day in public view, be'etzem hayom hazeh. Rashi explains that the reason for this strong language in the pasuk is because Bnei Israel had been saying that if they noticed that Hashem was taking Moshe to his death, they would not allow Moshe, the phenomenal human being who took Bnei Israel out of Mitzrayim and performed countless miracles for them while traveling in the desert, to be taken by Hashem. Therefore, Hashem altered the derech hateva, the way of nature, and despite the protests, removed Moshe Rabbeinu from Klal Yisrael in broad daylight. Rav Chaim Shmulevitz Zatzal explains that this Rashi teaches us the power of Hakaras HaTov. When we truly express our gratitude to whom it is owed, we can tap into a source of almost unlimited siyata d'shmaya that we could even prevent death. When Bnei Yisrael recognized all the things Moshe had done for them, had Hashem not changed the natural order of the world, Moshe Rabbeinu would not have been able to leave. Therefore, we should never be scared to say thank you and show our appreciation, because though we may not believe it, the one doing the thanking will benefit an unbelievable amount. A graduation is a time when one is able to reflect on his accomplishments and give thanks to those who facilitated said achievements. Although it took me many years to realize, I would not be anywhere without my parents. They constantly shower me with their love and care. This devotion, however, is an innate feeling shared by all parents for their children. So while it has been indeed a powerful aid to my success, it's not what I primarily would like to thank my parents for. I think that my parents are unique and deserve recognition for many traits, but in particular their open-mindedness. The decisions that I have made for my own personal growth would generate opposition from many other parents. Sometimes, when people we are close to make decisions that are different from those we would make, we view it as an affront to our way of life. My parents, though, always supported me in my growth as a Ben Torah, even when it took them through uncharted waters. I hope you don't get the wrong impression. My parents weren't absent parents that left me to fend for myself and make my own decisions. Rather, they were willing to hear me out, and after evaluating my choices and approving of them, or at least some of them, they allowed me to pursue my aspirations. They weren't afraid of that which was new to them. If it was MS, then it was good. On the first day of 9th grade, Rabbi Dudovitz announced our first homework assignment. He reached for his board marker and wrote out a phone number on the board. 305-957-7859. We were responsible for memorizing Rabbi Dudovitz's house number so we could call if we ever needed to talk. This brief moment would serve as a symbol for the love that each of our Rabbeim has for us. Their role as a Rebbe, a mentor, and a friend is a full-time job. And by full-time, I mean every single second of their lives, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A few weeks later, Rabbi Dudovitz handed each of us an index card. We were to write our Hebrew name so that he could daven on Yom Kippur for our success in Ruchnius. After being in New York for just a few hours on our 10th grade trip, I became pretty sick. I'll spare you all the wonderful details, but I wasn't doing so well. As the first day of our trip wound to a close well after midnight, Rabbi Dreyfus was concerned about how I was feeling and wanted to keep an eye on me. Instead of staying by my assigned host, Rebbe wanted me to be in the same house that he would be in. I was overtired and dehydrated, so I didn't fully grasp it at the time. But the next day, I realized that Rabbi Dreyfus had slept on the floor to accommodate for me, the unexpected guest. It is impossible to fail to notice Rabbi Goldman's devotion to our grade, the Beis Medrash, and Yeshiva Torah Chaim as a whole. The Talmidim know on an intellectual level that he is always busy. But if you ever need to talk with him, suddenly you are the only other human being in the world. Without exaggeration, our conversations together changed my life. Thank you, Rebbe. It is possible that Rebbe could be the psychologist in the Beis Medrash all day and be the soundboard for our concerns and problems, and yet he still manages to exemplify the teaching in Pirkei Avos to greet every person with a pleasant countenance. Our Rabbeim are like Shel Silverstein's giving tree. They sacrifice anything for us just to ensure our physical and mental health and our growth in Yiras Shamayim and Avodas Hashem. We bothered them to no end. We saddled them with all our problems. We turned their hair gray. And yet they were happy as long as we were developing as B'nai Torah. Yeshiva Torah Chaim was the center of our lives the last 4 years. It is where we grew and matured into B'nai Torah. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us to thank the administration, the office staff, and Carlos for their tireless efforts on our behalf. A special mention must be made of Rabbi Palgan and Rabbi Levine. While it is easy for one to appreciate his personal Rabbeim that he had on a daily basis, unfortunately, sometimes the Rabbeim who oversee the running of the school as a whole go unnoticed. Rabbi Palgan and Rabbi Levine have, for years, worked indefatigably, that's your word, Rabbi Palgan, to create and maintain a yeshiva that offers an unreal combination of Judaic and secular excellence. Our secular teachers opened our minds to the world of scholarship. I would like to personally thank Mr. Giliego, Mr. Richardson, Mr. O'Toole, Mr. Feilish, Mr. Aguinar, Mr. Aquino, and Dr. Burke. The creative methods of teaching that you brought to the table enabled me to discover and cultivate talents I never knew I had. I would also like to thank my classmates. I'm not sure if there has been any other class with such aftos. This year, the school split us up into 2 separate shiurim. Not only that, but we also had entirely different hours. So that couldn't stop our remarkable camaraderie. When working hard and trying to succeed, knowing that someone has your back could make a world of a difference. It's like driving to the basket to put up the winning shot with just seconds in regulation and hearing someone in the stands cheering your name. Sometimes, after a grueling 14-hour day, a simple pat on the back can make you feel like $1 million. I don't think I could have survived without you guys. This past Shabbos, on our final Shabbaton together, it hit me. The next few weeks bring us to a crossroad that sprouts many different paths. To this point, we have been there for each other for the last few years. Whenever summer would arrive, we would be separated for 2 months at a time, but we would always reunite in the fall. Come September this year, though, I'm afraid to say most of us will not be together. In the words of Dr. Seuss, oh, the places you'll go. Next year, we will forge our way into adulthood and make important decisions, probably the most significant we have ever made. But we won't be physically there for each other to offer that little pat on the back. Of course, we'll only be separated by a phone call. But there won't be any more joking at the breakfast table. There won't be any more Rosh Chodesh shtick. There won't be any more Shabbatons, or volleyball games, or classes. Our paths, which to this point have run for the most part parallel, will diverge forever as they take us to Miami, Vancouver, St. Louis, Eretz Yisrael, or Lev Ahavo. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Guys, you'll move mountains. Though we likely will be separated for the rest of our lives, and we probably will lose touch sometime soon. In the land of memory, time alone is not an object. Nothing can destroy the moments that we shared. Nothing can erase all the crazy things we did together. Nothing can sever the chains that will forever link the era of our lives that is speeding to a close. Our fond memories are undying. We will always be aware of the awesome times we had together. This isn't goodbye yet, but when the time comes, I'm really gonna miss you guys. You're my brothers, and I love you. When I was writing my speech, I felt uncomfortable thanking Hashem, so to speak, last. However, I thought that it was most appropriate to do so in order to fully emphasize His providence in my life. By first telling you about how fortunate I am to have had such parents, rabbeim, teachers, and friends, maybe both you and I can see a little bit of the hand of Hashem that has been active in my life since before I took my first breath. We should all have a bracha to appreciate Hashem's guidance in our lives, and as a result, be zocha to an endless influx of siyata d'shmaya. Thank you for your time, and have a good night.